Oh, thank goodness you're here. Can you help me out, please? I'm writing a story, and I need a hero, but I'm trying to decide what kind of hero I want my character to be. There are so many different kinds that I can choose from. There's the willing hero, the unwilling hero, the tragic hero, the classic hero, the epic hero, and the anti-hero. And they're all really interesting in their own right. I just don't know which one to choose to start off with, because they all have their own challenges when writing them. Maybe you could help me out. Oh, you don't know the difference between all these different hero types? Well, let me explain it. So the first one is the willing hero. The willing hero is self-motivated, and they're always ready for a fight. They're the ones who are running towards the action when other people are running away from the action. Think of characters like James Bond or Luke Skywalker. These characters are brave, they're ready for the challenge, but they're really hard to get the reader to relate to. Because a lot of people are not self-motivated, they're not looking for a fight, they don't see themselves as brave. So it's really hard to get the reader to relate to them. The next one you have is the reluctant hero. This hero is full of doubt. They are the ones who were taken from their normal lives and thrown into a situation where they have to become brave and courageous and overcome it. They have to become the hero. They might not necessarily have wanted this, but they do have an understanding that if they don't overcome this, bad stuff is going to happen. People like Frodo Baggins or Spider-Man, they're a type of reluctant heroes. These heroes lack self-motivation, and I think that's relatable for a lot of people. I think a lot of people can relate to these kinds of characters because a lot of people self-doubt, a lot of people second guess themselves, but I feel like it's hard to write this kind of character without going overboard. It's just hard to maintain that balance of unwillingness versus knowing what to do when the time is right kind of thing. Then we have the tragic hero. So the tragic hero is deeply flawed, and this flaw eventually leads to their undoing. They don't ever overcome their inner demons. So if we think of characters like Romeo from Romeo and Juliet, or even Peter Pan. Peter Pan is a tragic hero. He wants to be a child, and he wants to be a child for the rest of his life, and he surrounds himself with other children. But eventually those children decide that they want to go back to their original lives. They miss their moms, they miss their families. They want to go back to the real world, and they want to grow up. And Peter Pan is left alone because he's the only one who will not grow up. And then we have the classic hero. This hero is courageous, they are righteous, they have either divine or supernatural powers. Essentially, they're perfect. And again, this one is a really hard one to write because nobody's perfect. And so to relate to the reader, you have to figure out a way to take their perfectionism or take their perfect image and make it so that it's just really hard to get that relatable. But it has been done before, like Wonder Woman is an example, Harry Potter is another example of the classic hero. It has been done, it's just difficult. And then you have the epic hero. The epic hero is a hero of legend. They embody the best of a culture. They're often selfless, and they have inner fights that they have to overcome in order to defeat the final boss or whatever. So there are so many epics. There's the legend of the epic of Gilgamesh, the epic of Beowulf. But if we want to look at more recent things, Aragorn, son of Arathorn from The Lord of the Rings, is considered to be an epic character as well. Now, these ones are fun to write about, but again, because they're so legendary, it's really hard to get them to be relatable to the reader, since most of us are not legendary, let's be honest. And then there's the anti-hero. So the anti-hero is actually really interesting. There are characters like Jack Sparrow or Deadpool. They're kind of the shady type of character. They're not straight edge good, but they're not a villain either. They can be greedy and ruthless and selfish, and they might do the right thing but for the wrong reasons. But they do the right thing in the end. The right thing. Of course, that's a very subjective thing. What does the right thing mean? But yeah, these heroes can be really interesting. The only thing though is that in order for them to not come off as arrogant or as a jerk, you have to write them so that you can sympathize with them, so that the reader can sympathize with them. And that can be tricky in and of itself. So, now that you know about the different hero types, can you help me think of a character? Can you help me think of which one I should do for my story?